All right, here we go.
All right, I'm ready.
Here we go. Here we go. Here we go.
Da-da-da.
Here we go. Here we go. Welcome, everybody, to Generation Viewpoint. I'm Evan. This is my dad, Freedom.
Hello, everybody. And Evan, I love your little warm-up exercise there. How did that go again?
Hello.
I love it, man.
I have to do it every time. It's just, I don't know. I feel like I need to build up to the excitement, the energy that's going on.
It is interesting that right before we hit record on the podcast, how you sit here and you have this moment of just okay, here we go. And then
It's every time.
I know, right?
I usually just cut it out because
I know. It's the weirdest thing, though. Yeah. So I don't know. So, Ev, I received today in my email. Now, for people who don't know, during the day I work in the produce world and handle fresh produce across the country. And so I get a lot of things in my email that have to do with fresh produce. And today I've got some big news. Do you want to know what the big news is?
There's a new watermelon.
No, this is bigger than that.
Oh, what's bigger than a watermelon?
The biggest news in produce today is that the apple officially has beaten the banana.
What?
Nice face. I love it. So here's how it goes. In the grocery market, for a long time, I mean, as long as I can remember, the number one produce item in the grocery market that people buy is always the banana, as far as the percentage of people buying produce. So I think it was like 83% of every shopper buys bananas kind of thing, and they were always number one, always. And for the first time, and I don't know how long, but longer than I can remember, the apple this year, right now, is the most bought item over the banana. So the apple has beaten the banana. That's all you have to say about that is, huh?
I mean, I'm not as, I guess, gung-ho about produce as you are. So, I mean...
All right, so what's your favorite...
And I don't eat apples and bananas. They both make me sick.
What's your favorite fruit or vegetable?
Favorite fruit?
Or vegetable.
That's hard.
Okay.
My favorite vegetable is cucumbers.
So cucumbers
I'll eat cucumbers
are number 7 on the vegetable list as far as most frequently bought. I've got the top 20 list right here.
I feel like lettuce is number 1, isn't it?
No, it is the tomato.
Oh, tomatoes are disgusting.
Tomatoes number 1, potatoes number 2, carrots, and then onions. And then bell peppers. I don't know how bell peppers crept in there, but that's how the list goes. Pretty interesting, right?
Wow, yeah.
So, but speaking of Apple, so there was news recently from Apple as far as the Apple company. Now we've kind of transitioned there. Saw that? Do you see how I did that, by the way?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got that.
But they're coming out with a new phone.
Okay.
All right. Have you heard anything about this yet?
I have not.
Okay.
I'm slacking.
Okay. So they're coming out with a new phone. And for the first time in a long time, the new phone now is going to be smaller than the previous version. Now,
I did hear something about that.
Okay, you did.
Yep.
What's your thought on that? Where does your mind go? What's your opinion?
think it's a brilliant idea.
Now, why do you say that?
Because, first of all, if we go back to last year, they released the iPhone 6.
Correct. Yep.
And they bumped the screen to 4.7 inches.
Okay. All right.
Everyone was like, oh, why Apple's turning into the next Samsung and all this crap.
Yeah.
When Apple has been the lead of the race in a lot of different areas.
Okay.
And they weren't necessarily turning into Samsung. They were just trying to fit the market because everyone at the time wanted a larger screen.
Okay. Right.
And there are the select few that still want a smaller phone, but every company except for Sony and then there was one other, I think it was Motorola, have moved on to a larger screen. Except for those that have kept the smaller screens, and they have been bought up by the people that like the smaller screens. So I think it's a brilliant idea because now they can fit both the large screen market, which is more in demand, as well as the small screen,
which nobody is providing for.
Yeah, no one is providing for, and
that's interesting.
And everyone loves iPhones. I mean, there are the select few that are like, no, iPhones are trash because they have all these restrictions and stuff.
Okay.
So I think I think it's a great idea.
That's an interesting point of view. I never even thought about that.
Yeah.
I found it intriguing because, obviously I predate you just a little bit.
Yeah.
So the first phone that we had was a bag phone. It was a big bag, about this big, and the phone was in it, and it was corded. The receiver was corded and hooked to the bag, and you would lift it up and you would talk on the cell phone. And it cost like 75 cents a minute. So you owned it, but you never used it because you couldn't afford to actually call anybody. No, true story. We had it in the car in case mom broke down with you guys when you were little, in case of emergency. So we owned it, but you never used it. You just couldn't afford to make a call.
Yeah.
Right? So then there was this big push to get the phone smaller. So then they had a long phone that was like that big, had a little antenna on it that would hook on your belt, right?
Yeah.
It was like that long.
Yeah.
And that was the coolest thing. Then they went down to the little flip phone, right? They got smaller and smaller. Everybody wanted the smallest phone that would just fit in your pocket. Nobody knew you had a phone. You were like, so cool, right? Mm-hmm. Well, then all of a sudden, it changed. And it started to get bigger again.
Yep.
We want a big screen, bigger screen, bigger screen. Now we've hit big screen, and now it's changing again and going smaller. It's almost like the phone companies are so brilliant because they keep convincing us that what we have isn't what we should want.
I don't
we
think,
want something different.
I think you're looking at it at the wrong perspective.
Okay, help me with that then.
So they kept getting smaller because people were only using phones to make phone calls.
Right.
Or it started becoming text.
I know where you're going.
Okay. And then iPhone came out with a smartphone. It had all these apps. You can go on YouTube.
Right.
YouTube.
On your phone.
On a phone.
Right. Yeah.
So now people are watching videos on their phone, and it's a small screen, and no one wants to look at a small screen.
No.
And
Generation Viewpoint looks much better on a big screen. Our YouTube. Yep.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yep.
But yeah, like our intake for phones has transitioned from communication to intake of content.
Yes. Okay.
Like less people are using computers and TVs and stuff.
You're right.
I mean, people still use them.
No, you're right.
But a lot of people use their phones because it's super convenient.
If not more.
Yeah, and it's right there. So it made sense to go to the bigger screens.
Yeah.
Because then you have you pretty much have a tiny Right now, there are 4K screens that are 5.5 inches.
Yeah.
Perfect for watching a movie or something.
Right.
Like they're just trying to fit what everyone wants.
Yeah.
And what Apple did, which is going smaller, is because there are people that want a smaller phone because they use it for communication.
Sure. And they're not necessarily playing games or watching movies or anything like that. So they just want to make a phone call.
Yep.
Or a text. Yeah. That's awesome. So I did hear in regards to smartphones and social medias, I did hear a recent statistic that the average person spends 2.5 hours a day on social medias. Do you agree with that? I mean, it's not a question whether we agree with it or not because it was a survey, so it's accurate.
Yeah.
But does that surprise you, I guess?
It doesn't surprise me. It might surprise most people because people don't necessarily think some things are social media that they actually are.
Yeah.
Most people might think that social media is Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Right.
And that's it.
Okay.
But they don't think that like Snapchat, Periscope, like all those are social medias.
I also don't think people realize how much time goes by. You go on to check your Facebook, you don't realize that you were just on it for 20 minutes. You thought you were on it for like 4.
Yeah.
Like it just flies by.
Yeah.
Right?
Even YouTube.
I know. It's amazing. And that's 2.5 hours of valuable time that you're never going to have back.
Yeah.
And you spent it doing nothing. It's amazing. And I can think of more valuable ways to spend 2.5 hours, which makes me think of what we were able to do this past week. And I wanted to bring this up.
All right.
So this past week, as everybody knows, Evan turned 18 recently. And one of the things that we have been doing with our boys in the house is when they turn 18, we get them together and we go out to dinner and we invite the group of men that have been around and maybe have poured into their lives, who have spent time with them and maybe mentored them in different ways. And so we were able to do that this past week. And man, Ev, we ate a lot.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my!
I went into a coma that night.
It was bad. Everybody there is like, brr.
Yeah.
We had wings, we had nacho platter, deep fried pierogies.
Which, the pierogies, we got them, and I'm like, why are we getting like pierogies? It's like a sissy meal compared to everything else. but you don't understand. It was literally a rock. I took a small bite and I was full. I was done.
They were awesome.
Like-
they were really good, man. And then we had strombolis on top of that from this amazing place that they make the dough all fresh there. So, so I guess I was thinking about that night, Ev.
Mm-hmm.
And for parents out there and even people, who were younger, right?
Yeah.
I guess, is there some insight into that event and even that group of guys for you? That do you think maybe there's people who are in high school and maybe they don't want to spend time with other people or whatever it is, or maybe there's parents out there who don't want to spend the time in getting their kids around other people and spending time with them. Have you gleaned any information from that? Like one day when you have kids, did you learn something from that experience that you then want to pass on with them? I guess that's the main point.
Well, the biggest thing that I've learned from, I guess, being around people older than me and have done more than me and being able to get their wisdom from things, that I feel like I've matured a lot faster.
Okay.
So the typical thing for a teenager, especially during my years, is to hang out with friends as much as possible and to spend as much time just doing whatever you want.
Right.
But I took it differently, and instead, like when I went to like Bible study, I would spend less time hanging out with people my age and more time hanging out with the student pastor or other small group leaders that were there.
Okay.
Because I enjoyed hearing the things that they had to say, because it helped me look at different things differently and be able to make a better decision about things.
Okay. So do you think it's very important then for parents to make sure that there's more than just them that are feeding into their kids' lives? Because there's a risk. Parents sometimes they might be nervous about letting other people give their kids advice on life and having their kids be comfortable turning to somebody else when they have a question, because they want to be the sole person that they talk to. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you think so? Would you recommend that? Will you do that with your kids? Or I guess,
I will. When I have kids, I'm probably going to put maybe friends of mine or older people that I know have been through things, put them into their lives.
Okay.
For them to go to them.
Good.
Because I don't want to be the parent that is like, tell me everything.
Right.
Like I don't want it to. I want them to have the choice to come to me if they want.
Right.
And if they don't, then they have someone to go to.
Gotcha. I think it's very wise, and that's what we've tried to do. And it's not our created idea. That was an idea that was taught to us that would be good for all you guys. So, but that was a great event, and I really appreciate all those men that were there. And if they're listening right now, I thank you again for what you've done for Evan and spending time with him and guiding him over the last many years. So I'm extremely grateful for that. So. But, Ev, we're almost running out of time. I can't believe it, man. We just hit record,
Yeah.
So I want to ask you a question, Ev.
All right.
If I could tell you, you're about to go out on your own, and you're going to be learning about finance and saving and how to manage bills and stuff like that. If I were to tell you, okay, that you could buy $1 million for $580,000, would you be interested on how to do that?
If I could buy $1 million worth of stuff.
No, $1 million. You could buy a pile of $1 million for $580,000. Are you interested in knowing how?
Yeah.
Okay. You would be, right?
Yeah.
Okay. This is something that we haven't talked about much, so I think this is an important lesson to learn, okay?
Okay.
And it's the idea of saving and what compound interest does for you. So I don't want people to get bored. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. But, okay, saving now, starting now, not until later, not until you can afford it, because no matter how old you get, you always say, I can't afford it, because you'll have bought a newer car, you'll have bought this and whatever.
Yeah.
But making a priority now, right? Even if it's $20 a week, I don't care what it is, all right?
Yep.
So if you were to, I'm going to use a big number right now that's, you can't even imagine saving because it's kind of big. But if you were to save $560 a week, I know it's a lot.
I've never made that much in a week.
I know.
Ever.
I'm starting big, though.
Yeah.
If you were to save $560 a week, okay, for 20 years, so at 38, right?
Yeah.
At 38, you would have $1 million saved up in the bank.
Hello.
So at 38, you could be a millionaire if you could find some way right now to make $560 and put it into savings every week. So you could do whatever it takes every week to make enough to live on and save 560, 38, you'll be a millionaire.
Wow.
Now, to change it into numbers that are more realistic, that right now that you can kind of think about a little bit, because you're going to be working full-time after high school, right?
Yeah.
If you were to save $100 a week after 20 years, you would have saved actual money out of your pocket, just over $100,000, but you'd have $176,000 in savings because interest compounding over time works in your favor. So the whole point of this is that as you go out on your own, okay, there's certain things that take priorities, and saving is a priority. Saving isn't do everything else, and then if you have something left, save it. You have to make it almost a priority in your life. And the smartest way to do it is to set a percentage or an amount that no matter what. Percentage usually works really well because then as your income goes up, you're still saving, you know what I mean? Something equivalent to that. So, but anyways, I just want to teach you that little lesson because anybody that you were to go to and say, hey, listen, if you could buy $1 million for $506 or $580,000, would you be interested? They'd be like, yeah. And they would do everything they could to try to find $580,000 to get $1 million for it.
Yeah.
I just taught you how to do it.
Ta-da.
Ta-da! Dad lesson. Ba-boom. So, but that's all I have right now. And this is another great episode, Ev.
Yeah.
Right? Any words of wisdom for me right now to close this episode out?
Don't wear white shirts.
Oh, man, I'm going to get in trouble for this white shirt. Thanks for bringing that up. I'm going to get in so much trouble for wearing this. So, but anyways, well, that's another great episode. Thank you, everybody, for joining us once again. We hope that you got something from that. And remember, the apple is more important than a banana right now today. Breaking news. Ev? See you later, buddy.
See ya. Remember, we're on iTunes and Stitcher. And as always, thanks for being awesome.